don't like it. It's non-alcoholic.
Preston, you have a lot to learn about the motion picture business.
The casting decision to choose Jack Black has caused a few curious question marks to be raised.
Everybody is going to want to be in his next film.
He just doesn't have the weight for that role, to make that role work.
He's just, not a regular human being.
It just spiraled downhill and was sort of over.
I don't want to affect the working atmosphere, but that's affecting my work atmosphere. Wow!
Don't blow it, buddy.
Sir Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong came out nearly 20 years ago. Coming off of her Oscar-nominated performance in 21 Grams, it stars Naomi Watts.
Mr. Denham, I think we should go back.
We'll handle this.
Look, chocolate.
Coming off of his Oscar-winning performance in The Pianist, it stars Adrian Brody.
He doesn't want the chocolate.
Jack Black was the black sheep, and a bold casting decision. Before we ask why Jack, let us first understand, why King Kong?
First time I saw the original Kong was in New Zealand on TV, a Friday night, and I would have been about 8 or 9 years old, probably about 1970. Everything changed after I saw Kong.
And that did it for me. That was the film that really made me want to become a filmmaker. I wanted to be the guy that actually sort of could do that and make these things happen and start from nothing, but create adventures that had all this stuff on them.
And so after seeing King Kong, I started to experiment with stop motion. I made little puppets.
And then my parents got a Super 8 movie camera.
Well, he took control of our camera as soon as we got it, our first little movie camera, and he could make better use of it than what we could at his young age.
We're 8mm.
And I realized that with a camera I could film my models.
When I was about 12, 2 or 3 years after I saw Kong, I decided I was going to do a remake of it. In my burst of excitement, I made a little puppet, stop motion puppet of Kong.
I got as far as building a cardboard model of the Empire State Building, and I painted a backdrop on my mother's sheet, an old bed sheet of the New York skyline to put behind it, and I made a little rubber model of King Kong and some dinosaurs, but it never really got much further than that.
I got so far and just realized it was never going to be what I was imagining it to be in my mind. The Frighteners is a very important movie for me because it is the very first time that I've gone beyond making an independent New Zealand film, which is how my first few movies were financed. It was a whole different world for me. I'd never worked with a big movie star before like Michael Fox.
Just to do something unusual, I think that's credit due to Peter Jackson. He's just, not a regular human being.
Had never done anything as complicated with visual effects before. CG effects were very new. While we were making The Frighteners, we were working with Universal on that particular movie, and we had a call from our executive on The Frighteners, Lenny Kornberg. I think they were seeing dailies of The Frighteners and they were liking what they were seeing, and Lenny called us and said, there's a couple of horror movies that the studio is wanting to remake, and would either of them interest me? And one was The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I sort of didn't get too excited about, and the other one was King Kong, which I did get very excited about. And I said to Lenny, because I'd never mentioned Kong to him at all, and I said, you realise this is my favourite film. We had to get The Frighteners finished first, which we did.
We're all about to go on a big holiday and, and just sort of, relax after The Frighteners. And so Pete sort of, obviously had another project in the wings and let us all know. So, we were all coming back to work on that.
We did a lot of pre-production artwork. Richard Taylor and his gang at Weta Workshop did a lot of maquettes for dinosaurs, for Kong.
Our design team started a huge round of conceptual art, first through illustration and then through 3D sculptural maquetting.
I was having a go at everything, really. There was pet creatures, there was dinosaurs, and Kong himself.
We would have to do Kong with animatronic components. So we set about and in fact made all of the creatures as stop animation armatures.
I also thought there was something nice about prevising in stop motion, even though the movie was going to be completely computer generated, that it gave us a first pass in the old-fashioned technique. So we'd sort of somehow, that flavour would be inherited by the finished film itself. By January 97, which was about 6 or 7 months after we'd gotten underway, we had the plug pulled on us suddenly.
As I understand it, which I think is, as everyone else understands it, Universal got cold feet because there was Godzilla and Mighty Joe Young due to come out that year. It's another movie about a big gorilla and another movie about a monster terrorizing New York City.
And so in the beginning of 97, it just started to feel wrong. And within a few weeks, it just spiraled downhill and was sort of over and done. Blink, finished, bang.
Yeah, we kind of, went round to one of our colleagues' place and drowned our sorrows a little bit and tried to put a brave face on it.
Yeah, there were tears. Some people were really quite upset.
He sort of came in and he had the schedule all up on the board and he just grabbed the schedule and just ripped it off.
People have become very emotionally involved. For many of us, it was our first big film project, and so we invested ourselves completely in it.
We had sculpted this wonderful maquette of Kong fighting these 3 dinosaurs, this really big model. And everybody that came to the workshop would go, oh, wow, look at this. And it was always a slightly bittersweet feeling because I look at it and it was always represented the film that didn't happen.
What happened when when King Kong got canned is that Pete immediately asked us to start doing some design work for The Hobbit.
Something was up. We didn't know what exactly, but it then changed to Lord of the Rings, which then was suddenly like, okay, how do we do this?
So High Fidelity was my big breakthrough role.
Here's the thing. I made that tape special for today. My special Monday morning tape for you. Special
F***ing Monday afternoon. You should get out of bed earlier.
Everybody is talking about you in this movie High Fidelity. You've got what they call in Hollywood heat right now. There's a buzz.
John Cusack was a fan of my band Tenacious D.
Their name says it all. Our next guests are bold and in your face. They are the 2 men who make up Tenacious D.
Make some noise for Tenacious D.
We were the inventors of the cosmic astral code. We've come to blow you away. We've come to blow your nose.
He thought I was funny and he thought I'd be good in the role.
Nice, Jerry. Really, really nice. It was just top class.
Rob? I was nervous about it because it was a movie about rock and roll. It was about people who worked at a record store and were kind of snobby and had real strong opinions on what music was good and what was bad. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I have a band. I really am a musician. I don't know if I want to make a movie about people criticizing music.
No!
Eventually, I realized I'd be an idiot to turn down this role. It's a great character, and I took the plunge.
Wow!
Hey, what are you doing? Will you shut up? Will you break it up?
You're a f***ing maniac. I swear to God, if you tore this thing, it's vintage, and I will f***ing sock your nose. You'll pay big.
So I came out of the gate windmilling, just acting as though my life depended on it.
The anticipation of how the world will receive the first of the films released in 6 weeks.
I just hope that I made a film that people like and enjoy. That's all I really want, is that when people see it, they just say that it was a good night out of the movies, you know.
The biggest movie deal ever undertaken in the Southern Hemisphere.
This is amazing. I prefer being behind the camera, yeah?
It's gonna be an emotional roller coaster.
Could you make King Kong? I'd love to make King Kong.
Why?
Well, the original King Kong is my all-time favorite film, the 1933 version. I saw that when I was 10, which was the reason why I wanted to become a filmmaker, actually, is seeing King Kong. That's the ultimate escapist film. And I was working on a remake of King Kong for a while, And then Universal, the studio who were doing it, decided not to go ahead with it. And we had Lord of the Rings kind of in the wings at that point, so we were able to jump straight onto that project. But King Kong's great.
Will you ever get the chance to make it?
All right, let's pray. God of Rock, thank you for this chance to kick ass. We are your humble servants. Please give us the power to blow people's minds with our high voltage rock. In your name we pray. Amen. I got a leading man role, and that's a rare thing for me, so I'll take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Black!
Coming off of School of Rock, I was just like riding high on a cloud. I was like, things couldn't be better.
You've got it. And I don't even know what it is, but you've got it.
I just like had a home run of a movie that I'm super proud of, and everybody seemed to love it.
It's the season premiere. And I'm hosting it. Why am I hosting it? It must be because I'm huge. I'm huge. Apparently, I went from being a superstar to a megastar, and I didn't even notice it. It's freaking me out.
And when my agent was like, what do you want to do now? What kind of movie you want to make? I was like, I don't know. She's like, who do you want to work with? And I was like...
And the Oscar goes to Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings.
Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings.
It's a clean sweep. For Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, Barry M. Osborne, Peter Jackson, and Fran Walsh producers.
I just want to thank two very special people that when I was 8 years old, I made films at home on a Super 8 camera that my mum and dad had bought for me. And they supported me all through the years, and they died in the last few years. They didn't see these films made. So for Bill and Joan, thank you.
I think my parents were a very good example of supporting your child's ambitions. Don't impose your own desires. I mean, I don't know whether they wanted me to be a lawyer or an architect or a doctor. I'm not sure, because they never pushed me in that direction. They saw what was interesting to me and where my dreams lay, and they did everything they could to support that.
Pretty obvious why I would be here. I'm been a fan of Peter's work.
When you choose a film, there's so many elements that you have to think of, but for me, generally speaking, the first thing is the director.
Well, I just saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and God, those movies are so good. If I could ever be in a Peter Jackson film.
I remember thinking to myself while I was watching Lord of the Rings, man, I have got to get an audition for whatever he does next. What is he going to do next? And then I thought, that's just stupid. Everybody is going to want to be in his next film. Better to just put it out of your mind.
I get a call from my agent saying, dude, Peter Jackson wants you to be in King Kong. I was like, what? No. Really? She said, yeah, you got to go meet him.
I mean, people, I think, naturally assumed that The Lord of the Rings was probably my big lifetime ambition, but that's actually not the case at all. Kong was the film that I had wanted to make since I was a kid.
They didn't want me to audition or anything. He and his wife and their writing partner, they just wanted to show me an animated version of the end of the movie when King Kong is up on top of the Empire State Building.
I was able to have a little screening in our cinema and actually have a premiere of the King Kong previs footage.
And it was just a beautiful sequence.
That animatic was so amazing to watch. And you just got it. You just understood it.
And there were people around me who got emotional.
People were genuinely moved by 10 minutes of previs and were just kind of shaking afterwards.
At the end of the sequence when the lights came up, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
I got chills watching it. And they said, so do you want to be in our movie? And I was like, yes. Yes, I do.
All the old artwork.
Whoa, my goodness.
With names like Robert De Niro,
You talking to me?
and George Clooney,
Does he make you laugh?
in consideration for the roles of Carl Denham and Jack Driscoll, it's easy to understand the initial surprise the public felt in Jackson's decision to cast Jack Black in a leading role for his dream project.
I'm a loser, okay?
Although the choice of casting Jack as Carl Denham might not have been clear to most, Jackson had his reasons. He stated, "I've been wanting to work with Jack Black ever since I saw him in High Fidelity. He's a smart and versatile actor, blessed with an abundance of energy and charm, and I'm absolutely thrilled that he is joining us on Kong." Jackson later went on to describe the character of Carl Denham as a reckless,
I am touching the beast.
unscrupulous,
I'm someone you can trust, Ann. I'm a movie producer.
obsessive,
I'm gonna finish this film for Mike.
passionate genius,
You're the star of this picture. Get into character and hit toward the animals.
enormously charming and funny,
The beast was no match for the charms of a girl.
and in his own way, sincere.
He died believing there was still some mystery left in this world. And we could all have a piece of it. For the price of an admission ticket.
While Jack Black might not have been the obvious choice, Sir Peter Jackson knew he was the perfect one.
Me, a big head? Not this Jack!
We go off to New Zealand, and it's a long shoot. We're there for like 6 months, which is twice as long as a normal movie.
Okay, fire, whoa!
We had period firearms, Tommy gun instructions.
King Kong! Shoot him in the head! I want to close my eyes when I shoot. That's not good, though, is it? It's not good. I'm afraid that like a piece of shrapnel might go in my eyeball. Luckily, I'm going to be shooting mostly film in this movie.
We had camera instructions because our camera crew in our movie were shooting with an old hand crank Bell & Howell camera.
It's all manual, you know. You've got to be turning the thing at a kind of precise motion. And the trick of it is to do it without shaking the camera itself, which is really difficult. But if I slow it down, I can make it really smooth. But it has to be fast, like this. It has to be three revolutions per second, or else the characters I film are going to be moving too fast, like Babe Ruth around the bases at the speed of light. It's exhausting to do it well.
Well, I'll try not to be.
Just being around.
One of my favorite memories is just practicing running from dinosaurs. And all of us really hoping that they'd come up with a good fake camera for us to use, because it is heavy.
Not heavy at all. Easy. Easy part cheesy.
Hot points.
How about when you're running away from f***ing dinosaurs? Oh man, that's gonna be a bitch.
Hello, welcome to Kong is King, the internet fan site for the movie we're making, the remake of King Kong, and I'm here on the set the first night of shooting.
Blockbuster movies often go out of their way to keep details of the production under wraps. However, this was not the case for King Kong. In a world where YouTube was yet to exist, Peter Jackson hired a team of filmmakers to create production diaries that were released throughout the entire making of King Kong. The hours of exclusive on-set footage was a treat for anyone who visited kongisking.net.
So we're on day 4 of shooting Kong, and we're just doing the scene in the diner where Denham is trying to convince Ann Darrow to be part of the voyage. Very similar scene in the original film, and so over here is the diner set.
21 Delta, take 1. Background and action.
Vaudeville, huh? I worked vaudeville once. That's a tough audience. If you don't kill them fast, they kill you.
Mr. Denham, I want you to know that I'm not in the habit of accepting charity from strangers. Or, for that matter, taking things that don't belong to me.
There's obviously a terrible misunderstanding.
I'd love to just introduce you to Naomi Watts and Jack Black, playing Ann Darrow and Carl Denham.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the Kong is King website.
Oh, all right. I've heard a lot about you.
Well, it's actually brand new.
Oh.
But you're about to hear a lot.
Good to meet you.
Yes.
Although his role required a dramatic performance, Jack Black stayed true to his comedic self on set, having the time of his life while filming in New Zealand.
I looked at the website, Kong is King, the other night, and it has me listed as 5'4" tall, which is bullshit. Okay, I'm 5'7".
I think he wears those, those heel supports. Don't tell him I told you, but...
I got these earplugs in, And Pete's like giving me
Here
direction.
he comes.
I can't hear a damn thing he says.
He's coming.
At all. I'm trying to lip read though. I think I'm getting most of it, Pete.
I'm sure he's going to use the earplugs every day now.
I had a great time. I felt right at home with the special effects and all the high intensity stuff.
We're gonna be dumped on by the dump tanks. I got hit right in the goosh. Ah! It's not that I want to be 5'7" and a half. It's that I am 5'7" and a half. 5'8" if I've just been doing yoga. I don't know how many times I have to say it.
That's the kind of stuff I like to do, where it's like everything is life or death, and like I'm running as fast as I can so I don't get stepped on by a brontosaurus. It's cool, man.
This is a slate that we're using in the movie. And as you can see, it's a Denham picture. It may be a Peter Jackson film, but it's a Carl Denham picture.
For a long time he was giving a really good performance, but recently he's become a different man. He's lost a few inches.
Taste of it. What is it? We could
all have a piece of it.
All have a piece of it. Sorry. I don't want to affect the working atmosphere, but that's affecting my work atmosphere. That's affecting my work atmosphere. When they put lies like that in the internet for everyone to see, that affects my working atmosphere. Hold me close, Scotty. Hold me close.
Okay, we're going to have to go across to the set now, Jack, and I want you to go as fast as you can, okay?
Okay. I don't know if these are period, but I really think these would be good for my character.
Ah. Okay.
Go, 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 go! Run, 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 run!
I feel more Carl Denham when I wear these, so.
And action. And cut.
That's good. John Jack so much better.
I felt good on that one. Good. Yeah, that's it. That's the money. Ah, yeah. Welcome to shoot day 70. 6 more days till Christmas vacation.
Yes, 6 days till Christmas, and we're filming in the Civic Theatre. It just seemed that if we were trying to find an amazing theatre to represent New York in 1933, that this was really the place to do it.
So it's authentic to the time period. But yeah, we're not saying what Broadway theater because it wouldn't match any Broadway theater if someone was a stickler for detail. That's not the way the Zieglerfield looked. You know, so we're avoiding that. But it's pretty impressive. The theater's pretty badass, I like to say.
A lot of extras today. Big work for all of the ADs and the wardrobe and makeup department, obviously, to get these people ready. They look absolutely wonderful.
How many extras I got today? We got 230, but it feels like about 1,020. You guys on the outside are going up the stairs. You guys are going straight through. You guys straight down the guts. And you guys around to the right-hand side, all right?
Excuse me. I know your film is very important.
You don't know what you're going to see, but you know it's going to be something amazing, as is exactly what it turns out to be. And that Denham down here is the guy that captured him. He's the centre of everyone's attention.
Contrary to popular opinion, it was not me that shrieked out in terror.
So it's day 76, which is significant for us because it's our last day before we break for Christmas. And it's, you know, we've had a fairly busy, intensive 14 weeks of shooting. I know I feel quite tired. I'm looking forward to the break.
Just say to you all, have a fantastic Christmas, enjoy yourselves.
Well, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Have a very, very happy Christmas and an extremely Merry New Year.
Whatever you feel like celebrating, celebrate it well. Celebrate it hard, because that's what I'm gonna do. Yes, for sure.
Happy holidays, have a great time, and a Happy New Year to you.
Hello, loyal viewers of kongisking.net. We'll see you next year. Have a great holiday.
We're done. Our Christmas break.
2004 is done. 2004 is done. Bring on 2005 is what I'm saying. We'll see you when we get back. 2005. Later. Bring it. Bring it. Yeah, it's his home movie because it's all his home. Universal's biggest picture is Pete's home movie.
I actually just want to stay in New Zealand, making my stuff down in New Zealand. So welcome to day 77. It's our first day back in the new year, and as we've been talking about, we're here on our New York street set.
Of all the incredible sets
The New York set is, without a doubt, the most impressive. It's New York.
What's wonderful about this set is the attention to detail, and we still have the same structure in my neighborhood.
To turn New York today into something from 1933 is such a daunting, almost impossible task, because there aren't really a lot of old sections of New York left.
The signage has changed, streetlights have changed.
You would have to paint out almost everything to try and get it back to what it looked like in 1933.
The thought of going to New York and closing streets down, one, it would be prohibitive cost-wise. Secondly, it almost logistically impossible. Our thought was always to have New York under our control, 100%, in other words, build it ourselves.
And if you're going to build it, why not build it in New Zealand?
We thought pretty ingeniously about how we could design our street sets to incorporate the needs of the script in a relatively small space.
King Kong.
It's New York compressed into 2 blocks.
They only built the first 20 feet, and then the rest of it they'll do with computers later.
We had to extend the streets so that it is, true to New York, and you see all the streets going off into the horizon.
And then obviously the big one was the Empire State Building itself.
We knew that was going to be the focal point of the big scene at the end of the film. And we just decided to go back to square one and figure out, how the building was built. So we actually got the original architectural blueprints for the building.
And so we were able to, floor by floor, follow the blueprints and construct the building in exactly the same dimensions and scale as it was in 1933. It's nice to see it in our movie as it originally was designed to look. The digital version of the Empire State Building, I think, took something like 18 months to build. The actual Empire State Building took 14 months to build. They built theirs quicker than we could build ours. It's interesting, movies don't really end with a climactic kind of moment. They tend to dwindle, and it becomes a process of long goodbyes. Guess what? That was Jack's last shot, everybody! Over the last couple of weeks, we've said goodbye to Jack Black. He finished everything that Denham had to do, and so he was able to leave.
I get squeezes. That's part of the fun.
Obviously, as we get down to shooting with 2 actors and then 1 actor, you don't need as many people in the wardrobe department, makeup departments, the ADs department. It's sort of, the film just becomes smaller. You end up almost like you're making a home movie by the time you're done.
Today is the last day of the shoot. This is the last shot.
So we finally got to day 131, which was our official end of principal photography. It was kind of bittersweet, I think everyone was on one level relieved to get to the last day, but you're also painfully aware that it's the end of friendships that have been made. This period of our lives is over, and it's a very intense feeling when you're shooting a movie. You do bond closely with the crew and the cast that are working with you, and suddenly it's all over. We had some farewells. I got a lovely signed photograph from the crew where every single member of the crew had signed it.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is so cool. This is really great. Thank you.
I somehow tricked myself into thinking that 1 film would be a little easier than 3. But as it turned out, it has been a very difficult film to make. And, you have been an absolutely wonderful group of people to work with. I've needed all the support that you gave me. I really have needed it, and you've always been there and always stepped up to the challenge. I want the film to do to audiences today what it did to me when I was 9 years old and I saw the original. I hope that there's lots of 9-year-old kids out there that go see it and become filmmakers in 20 years' time.
Sir Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong is a favorite movie of mine, and I decided I was going to tell my version of the classic 1933 film. I filled my parents' garage with cardboard boxes that I would turn into buildings. Using paint, paper, glue, tape, and a bit of compositing in the computer, I made a city for my Kong to rule. Instead of using puppets, I decided to use the resources I have and cast my pets as the characters in my little movie. King Kong himself was played by none other than my cat, Odie. I grew up watching King Kong, and I watch it every year along with the several hours of behind-the-scenes footage from the Production Diaries. It reminds me of why I wanted to become a filmmaker in the first place, and why I long to tell stories on the big screen. It was the first time I caught a glimpse into what it's like to direct films at a large scale. It was watching Jackson, Jack, and the rest of the cast and crew on set that I realized making movies is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Well, I love telling stories because I love having stories told to me. I mean, I love movies. I'm a movie fan. I've loved going to see movies as long as I can remember, and through loving movies as an audience, I've come to love the ability to make them.
Jackson speaks about making escapist films, like the ones he grew up loving and the ones I love to watch. However, Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong is much more than an escapist film. It's a love letter to his favorite movie, and this is a love letter to mine.
There's no such thing as perfection.
Right.
I mean, it literally just doesn't exist, and especially in the film industry, there's no perfect script, there's no perfect edit, there's no perfect visual effect. I mean, nothing's perfect. Everything's a product of how long you spend on it. We just, all of our movies, we work on them as long as we can until they take them away from us.
For me, it was always unfinished business. It was a dream that I'd wanted since I was a kid that had been unfulfilled in a way that wasn't particularly pleasant back in 1996.
I saw the movie when I was about 8 or 9 years old on TV here on a Friday night, one night, and it just captured a sort of a feeling of fantasy and adventure and mystery, and to me it just represented, you know, as a 9-year-old, the magic of what films could be and what I loved about films. And so, you know, this is really, for me, a dream come true to be able to do this.
I was in heaven. Loved being in New Zealand, Wellington, New Zealand, beautiful country. Going to work every day, it was just, I didn't want it to end, because I just wanted to live there and never stop making King Kongs.
Well, Denham, the airplane's got him. Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes.
It was beauty killed the beast. In a lot of ways, it was like I was 12 years old, running around in a big backyard, pretending like we were doing a thing. And then I come out of the bushes, and I'm King Kong, and you can scream, ah! You know what I mean?
That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So now I'm thinking jump off a bridge or something right after I'm done with this movie, because it's not gonna get any better.